in the next 20 minutes. So I'm going to talk more or less for like 20, 25 minutes and leave about 5 minutes for feedback, questions, and answer. So why performance management? Why do you need to manage or measure your performance? Just like what sorry. So just like what my wife said, Ms. Adeniran said, there's one statement I normally make, extremely important, that what you don't measure, you cannot manage. Okay, so if you call yourself a manager, that you are managing anything, whether you are managing at home or you are managing Club 31 or you are managing in your business, there are certain things you have to measure for us to say, okay, you are actually managing anything. So what you don't measure, you cannot manage. And what you don't measure, you cannot improve. So those are two sides of the same coin. It's just the same two statements, of the same coin. So what you don't manage, what you don't measure, you cannot improve. So if you want your business to improve, you have to measure it. There are things that you have to measure, about the business. So that's why is this important? Because it aligns efforts. It aligns all efforts going into the business with your objective, your business goal. So everything you are doing must be contributing to the success of the organization. And you have to know whether it's contributing to the success of the organization or not. So if you don't have that knowledge, that means you don't understand the business. Okay, so there are some things you have to know in your business that will say, oh, okay, these efforts, okay, I'm making calls now, I'm calling. Is it contributing to the success of my business? How is it contributing to it? Because if you don't have it like that, you will not be able to duplicate or replicate success. Everything will just be by trial and error because you are not really documenting anything and you are not really tying your efforts to success or failure. Okay, so that's the reason why we talk about performance management. That's the reason why we talk about things to measure. Okay, and then for productivity, so that when you know that, okay, these are the things I am doing, this is how much I have to do it to achieve this goal, then you can achieve more compared to somebody that is just doing things at random. Okay, so it's extremely important that you have some metrics of performance in your business, okay? So that you will know whether you are moving in the right direction or not. It's not something that you just think in your head. It's not something that you just, oh, I think we are moving, and money is coming in. And it's not just about money. Even if money is coming in, it's not just about money coming in. Because you want to build something sustainable. You want to build something reproducible, something scalable. So you have to be able to know what is working, what is not working, how is it working, and so on and so forth. So that's the major reason why these measurements are very, very, very important. Okay, so because of time, how do you go about it? So I've summarized that in 5 steps. How you go about performance management in your business, or your home, or your organization, or whatever you are doing. Okay, as long as you want to perform on that role, you have to engage this system, this performance management system. Even if you are the only one, It doesn't, you don't have to, so it's what works for you, what you use for yourself that you can also use for others. Okay, so there are things, so for example, at the end of the year, I normally do personally, and I do that for my business as well. I say year in review. So year in review, there are some metrics, there are some things that I have to, items that I have to look at. At, okay, how much of this did I do? How much of this did I achieve? How much of this did I achieve? How much of this did I achieve? So there are some metrics along family, along career, along business, along relationship, along different things. My health, and several other things. So you can apply it to anything that you think is important that must improve in your life. This system can be applied to it. So it's not just even for business alone. It's for anything that you think is important to you. You can apply it to parenting. Okay? You have to measure some things to be sure that, okay, you're on the right path. You can apply it to your career. You can apply it to your personal development. Okay, so it cut across. As long as that thing is important and success is important to you for that role, then it's something that so it's something that you can apply across board. Okay, so what are the 5 steps? So the first thing is, now we are just limiting our discussion. The scope is now within business. That's what I'm going to do. So this talk, we're going to look at applying more to business, since this is a business clinic. So the first thing that you have to do if you really want to manage your performance effectively is you have to define your business objectives. What are my business objectives? Documented. Okay, for most businesses, they don't have a business plan, which is not good enough for me, because it's in your business plan. One of the items in your business plan are your business objectives. So one aspect of your business plan is where you state your business objectives. You can have yearly objectives. Okay, so for this year, we want to attain this social amount in revenue, documented. So monthly, we target this revenue. So maybe it's 10 million we want to achieve this, or 1 million per month, that would be 12 million there. 2 million per month, that would be 24 million there, and so on and so forth. Okay, you want to have social number of active customers in the business. So you have to outline maybe 5, not more than 5, very specific business objectives. What you want your business to achieve for that month. Overall, that's the starting point. Because if you don't know where you're going, so then any vehicle can lead you to anywhere. Okay, so it's extremely important you have your business objective. Or we want to improve. If it's an existing business, we want to improve our revenue by 20% compared to last year. We want to reduce our overhead by 10%. We want to improve our customer satisfaction by 20%. Things like that. So you have to have specific business objectives, overall objectives of your business, maybe for that year. Okay, sometimes some people do it for 5 years, for the next 5 years, but at least start with at least an annual objective. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's the first step. You have to outline that. Okay, so even if you don't have a business plan now, at least let's start with business objectives. What are your business objectives? Let's document that where you can see it on a daily basis. And it's not also just for you. It's also for the people you are bringing on board. It's also for the people the team that are working together. If it's not a straightforward business, even if it's an NGO, you must have objectives for the year. What are our objectives for the year? So, so number of new membership that we must have, so number of new partners that we must have, so number of partners contributions that we must have, the amount of, so you must have specific objectives for the year. That's the starting point. That's number one step. So before you now move on to the next step to look at how do you set smart performance indicators, okay, and targets for each of those objectives. So that is the performance that you're looking at. We now want to look at what are the performance indicators that we need to set for those objectives. Now, because largely people make mistakes, there's something a concept in business they call balanced scorecard. So balanced scorecard usually is a template you can use to set an objective for your business, because it cuts across several aspects of the business. It's not just looking at money alone. Okay, so when we are setting objective for the business, don't just set revenue, profit alone. There are several things that will lead to the profit. If you don't pay attention to in fact, profit is a byproduct of several things. Okay, so you have to know there's another concept they call your success factors in business. You have to know the success factors, all the factors that contribute to success, that contribute to profit, if profit is your success. You have to know all those factors in your business, and you have to set objectives across those factors. Okay, and it's also from there, you also have to look at your performance indicators, also set indicators, performance indicators across those factors. Because I'm talking about business, there are basically about 4 areas of business that are important. You know, when you are talking about productivity and efficiency in business. Yeah, the financials. I'm not saying the financials are not important. Your sales, your revenue, your overhead, how much are you spending in overhead? Because that will determine what you now have at the bottom line. Your direct cost, your gross margin, your profit margin, your expense. Those are indicators, performance indicators, you know, around financials, around the financials of your business. So financials can be one aspect of the business you set indicator, and I've given you an example of some of those indicators. But it's not just financials. You also have to look at sales and marketing. There are some indicators that are very important that you also have to set. You have to set for your sales and marketing aspect of the business. So before I move on, just look at 4 areas that you must cover anytime you're talking about business. We'll talk about sales and marketing. We'll talk about the operation of the business. We'll talk about the financials. And then you talk about the human resource, HR. At least those 4 aspects for any standard business must be covered, effectively covered for that business to succeed. Okay, so there must be some level of performance at those 4. I call it the 4 legs on which a business must stand. Okay, some people merge HR and operations. So depending on how big the business is. So for very small business, they just merge operations and HR. So that would be 3 legs. Okay, so at least those 3 legs, operations, HR, you know, admin, financials, and then sales and marketing. At least those 3 legs must be there for that business to stand. So your objectives must cover all those 3 legs, and your performance indicators must cover all those 3 legs. So for financials, I'll give you examples of things that you have to set as indicators. Amount in sales, amount of in revenue, gross direct cost, gross profit, gross margin, operational cost or overhead, net profit, revenue per customer. So there are several metrics around financials, but let me just limit it to those ones. At least those ones you have to set for your business. That's the financial aspect. So let's look at sales and marketing now. So for sales and marketing, you also have to set some metrics. Things like the number of customers, what is even the customer base that you have. And that customer base, you can have active people that are having repeat engagement with your business. You must have that number. You must know, you must have a base, you are the database, a list of them. I'm going to talk about some of the tools you can use for some of these things later. You must have a list of them, at least on Excel or Google Sheets. And you must know that, okay, last year we had maybe 100 active customers. Okay, this year we want to have 200. We want to double the number of active customers that we want to engage with us. So you can see objectives, and then you are using the indicators here. That's number of active customers. We can now talk about number of new leads. New leads will be the number of newly created prospective customers that you have created. Okay, so new leads. How many new leads have we created? Number of new leads. I'm talking about the indicators now. So it's the indicators you will use to set your targets. So when I said set smart performance indicators and targets. So if I said the indicator is sales, that sales is the indicator. The target will be our sales should be 12 million this year. That's the target. Okay, you can have a baseline. Okay, where are we? What did we do last year? That can be your baseline. Okay, so there are three things I've mentioned here now. The indicator, the baseline measure for that indicator, so that what you had as at now, and then the targets that you want to have, maybe in the next 1 month, maybe in the next 3 months, maybe in the next 1 year. So usually, at least let's have 1 year plan. Okay, so those three things for each of the different aspects of the business. So you now have to look at indicators. You can have like 4 or 5 indicators per aspect. So for example, finance, I've mentioned like 5 things. For sales and marketing, I've mentioned a number of active customers. I've mentioned new leads. New conversion is important. Out of the new leads, maybe you have new leads this month. You have about 15 new leads. How many did you convert to new customers? Converted to new customers. New customers will be people that now patronize you. So that is another indicator, conversion. Okay. Repeat sales. How many of the customers that have patronized you before are coming back to have a repeat sales? So those are indicators, in that category of sales and marketing, and there are several of them that you can have, but at least those ones I've just given you examples. So if you are extending it to digital marketing, you also have to apply the same principle. So I can't cover everything in 20 or 25 minutes. I will just give you the template or the principle. So you will now go back and then look at all the different aspects that you feel is important to you. Start setting indicators for those aspects of the business. Start looking at your baseline. If you have not been measuring before, of course, you will not have a baseline. So that means you have been measuring something before. If you have not, you just say, okay, baseline, maybe we are starting from the 0 now, because you now start measuring now. And then you can now set targets for each of those items. Okay, so that's step number 2. So step number 1, define your business objectives. Step number 2, you set smart performance indicators, indicators one, and then you set the targets, which must be smart, specific, measurable. And I've given you examples, things that we can measure. So that means it's a game of number of sales, number of repeat customer, number of this, number of that, amount in this, amount. So it has to be measurable. Even if you are talking about customer satisfaction, it's measurable. What's the proportion of customers that are highly satisfied with our product? That is measurable. Employee engagement, measurable. All those things we can measure. We can quantify in a way. Okay? And if there is anything you cannot, but you can qualify it. So in a way, we can still look at, okay, what it is now and what is it that we want it to be moving forward. So I've talked about financial indicators, sales targets, and all of that. I'll talk about sales and marketing. Operation, you also have to have indicators, for operation. Set baseline, have baseline measures where you are, and then you set targets. Things like turnaround time, okay? Things like complaints. How many complaints do you have on your product? That can be an indicator because you want complaint to be minimal, to be zero. But if you are not measuring it, how will you improve it? Incidents. If there are incident occurrence, what do you want it to be? You want it to be zero. So there are some things that are negative, you want them to be zero. There are some things that are positive, you want them to increase. You have to measure, you have to look at all of that. Customer satisfaction is also under operation, and so on and so forth. So all those things, you have to measure them. Those are indicators that you have to measure, have a baseline, and then you now set targets for them. Okay? So that's number two. That's number two steps. Okay? Let me recap. Number one step in creating an effective performance management system for your business is to define your business objectives. That's number one. And then number two, to set smart performance indicators, targets for the different aspects of your business. Even HR, I didn't mention HR. HR, you can look at staff turnaround, staff turnover, staff engagement, staff satisfaction, number of training that you had for your staff, and things like that. So you can look at all of that. Number three step in creating an effective performance management system for your business is to now implement a clear performance review process. Implement a clear performance review process. So this is extremely important. So you have set the whatever, there must be a review process because you measure it, you have to review it, you have to check it. So it's just like you are trying to lose weight. The first thing is, I want to lose weight. Okay, how much weight do I want to lose? Where I am now, so I am at 100 now. That's my baseline. Okay, how much weight do I want to lose? I want to be, by the end of the year, I want to be, maybe by 80, I should have lost 20 kg. So I have a baseline, I have a target. Okay? So to get the baseline, that means you have been measuring your weight or you just measure it now. This is my baseline now. Okay? And then you now have to look at, okay, how often do I check? Of course, I'm not talking about what you need to do to achieve. That's not what we are talking about here. Okay? There are several things you have to do to achieve your goals in terms of maybe exercise, diet, and all of that. You can also measure those things. Okay? How much food am I taking? How much exercise? How many times do I exercise in a week? Okay? You can also measure everything that can even affect your performance. Okay? But the implementation and all of that, I'm not really talking about, okay, the strategies. I'm not talking about it today. So, but whatever that is going in as input, to get the output or the outcome that you are looking for must also be measured. Okay, so now, you now have to review from time to time. You have to check. You measure and check. Okay, analyze what was it last week or last month. What is it today? So that's what I mean by review. So there must be a clear performance review process. There are 3 things that are important, under this step. Number 1 is data collection and analysis. All these things that we're talking about, they are information, and you have to generate those information through collection of that information. Because if you don't have that information, you cannot analyze and make any meaningful whatever. So, for example, if you have not been documenting, so I can say maybe I should say data documentation instead of saying data collection. So let me just say data documentation. Okay, so if you have not been documenting what you are doing in your business, so for example, you have not been documenting your sales, you have not been documenting your direct cost, you have not been documenting your overhead on a daily basis, you don't have any book to document all those things. You have not been documenting the number of people you are calling, in terms of how many people did I call, to patronize us this week. How many of them started patronizing us, and so on and so forth. You have not been documenting all those things. There is no way you can go back and analyze it, whether they are helping you or they are not helping the business. So that's the first thing. You have to have a process of documenting all those indicators that you have identified as important. You must have a way to have them documented, so for the financials, who are the people that will be giving you information around that? Of course, it's the people. So if anybody wants to spend, if you are the only one, you want to spend money, you document it for what purpose, and at the end of the month, what is our direct cost? What is our this? Or at the end of the week, depending on the frequency of review that you want to use. Okay, so this documentation is extremely. Most people miss it at that point. Because if you don't have the numbers, if you don't have the information, how do you take decision? How do you know whether they are continuing? Just like you will also check your weight, but you are not documenting it, you are not recording it somewhere. How would you be able to tie last week or last month to this month? You think everything you remember, okay, maybe for weight you can remember in your brain. For all the numbers that I'm talking about now, we have about almost 20-something items in that regard. Do you think you can keep all of them in your brain? I mean, if I ask you now, okay, how much did you spend on calls last month? You can't keep that in you can't, it's not likely. You just make a guess. It's not going to, but if you have been documenting it somewhere, you'll be able to go back and say, okay, what's the total for last month? And then you get it out. So that documentation is important. So if you are working with staff and whatever, it's the different people working on the different aspects that will give you information or document all those different aspects for the business. And if you are the only one, then you have to do the work. Or you can engage somebody on a part-time basis or on a contract basis to help you, have that system set up, and then you can now have that documentation. So sometimes you have to first create the system for documentation. So if you are using Excel or Google Sheet, for example, I create the column. Okay, this is the date. Today was the total number of people new leads that we have. What is this? What is that? So you can create that your Excel spreadsheet. So once you have that system on a daily basis, input will be going there. And the way what I do is, of course, because our business, at least I have like maybe about 20-something or 30-something staff, in maybe our diagnostic business, for example. So each person, they have something that they submit on a daily basis that goes into our system. Okay, so somebody that is in the sales will submit sales records. Somebody that is in charge of cashier spending expenses submits expenses record on a daily basis on the different items. Somebody, so they are where they document all those things. So I'm going to talk about some of the tools that you can use shortly. So and then the next thing apart from documentation is now review. That's another place where people miss it, review. So what most companies do is to have a weekly review. So they have a weekly review meeting. Okay, if it is only you, you should also have that. Now, okay, all these things that we said we are trying to achieve. Where are we this week? Okay, how many new leads did we generate this week? How many conversions did we have this week? Out of our target, what was our target? Okay, so what is our performance this week? So what you achieve over your target is your performance. So if you said, oh, I'm supposed to call about 100 people, you are supposed to call about 100 people this week or create 100 new leads this week, and you're able to do 50. So that's 50% performance for that week. So why didn't you do 100? That is what that review meeting is all about. Okay, what are the challenges? Okay, how do we resolve those challenges? Okay, what are the bottlenecks? Okay, what else can we do? So that review meeting is where you address all those issues about, whether you are making progress or you are not making progress. So some people have that review meeting on a week. So for example, we do have review meeting around certain items of our indicators weekly. And then we have another one monthly to review the performance for the month around certain indicators. Some people have quarterly every 3 months. Apart from the weekly and monthly, they still review quarterly and then, of course, yearly. Okay, so the yearly review, we now talk about the year in review. Okay, all those numbers can now come to play under your year in review. Okay, but at least you have to keep monitoring it on a weekly basis so that you can make corrections, make adjustments, along the line. Of course, you have to leverage on technology. There are quite a lot of technology that can help, that has helped me personally, which I can recommend. Google Sheet is a major thing and it's common. Of course, some people use Excel. The reason why I use Google Sheets is because it is cloud-based. So if somebody fills the form in Abeokuta, I will be seeing it in Lagos. Okay, so whatever information that is there is cloud-based, so I can see it from anywhere. And we can make corrections, and then they go back, they see it. So that's why I use Google Sheets instead of Excel. Of course, there are some Excel tools that are cloud-based, but you have to pay to be able to access those ones. So that is a basic spreadsheet that every business person must learn how to use. Extremely, extremely important. Extremely, extremely important. You cannot really be successful in managing your numbers if you don't know how to use Excel or Google Sheets. So there are a lot of videos online that you can watch that will improve your skill. But it's extremely important you have to learn how to use those tools. I've told people that, you see, technology cannot replace human beings. But people who know how to use technology very well will replace those people that don't know how to use it. That's the law. That is a law that is going to happen. Okay, so AI, robots, and all those things cannot replace human beings. But those people who know how to use them very well will replace those people that don't know how to use them. So if you don't know how to use them now, just know that your business will be replaced. You will be replaced very, very soon. So it's extremely important that we learn to use some of these tools. Extremely, extremely important. I also use a tool they call Notion and Airtable. We can check them out. Just look at some tools that can work for you. You can start with something simple that can work for you, and then you make progress. So those are the things we use to track. I wish I have a lot of time. I will have showed you some of the things that I do personally and we do in the business. But at least I'm just giving you a framework of what is possible. Okay, so let's take note of that. So that's number 3, implement a clear performance review process. I've talked about your documentation and analysis, your frequency of review, recommend weekly, review meeting, or at the worst case, monthly review meeting, and then leverage on technology to achieve that. Oh, my time is up. My time is up. I didn't know that I've spent 30 minutes already. Two more steps to go. Provide continuous.
Excuse me, sir. Sister Itoma, please, can we give him 10 more minutes? This is such a crucial teaching. Can we just do that? Can we stretch a little?
Okay, ma'am.
Can we give 10 more minutes? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. God bless you. So, doctor,
Okay,
please, you have 10 more minutes. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So number 4 step is provide continuous feedback and coaching, to improve performance. Feedback. So it's not just enough to have that review meeting. Okay, whoever should have information about their performance should have that information. Okay, sometimes they are not in the review meeting. I always encourage or suggest that or advise that all the people that are responsible for each of the items, the performance of each of those items, or performance around each of those items should also be in the review meeting so that they can get feedback on their performance. Okay, we said we will call 15 people this week. We only reached out to 5 people. That's like 33% of your performance for that particular item. So what happened? Okay, so you get feedback. And then, okay, then you can now use that as an opportunity to train that person. Okay, and then, so next week, we'll come back and look at this. I hope we'll not see the same. So we use that opportunity to train the people that are achieved to recognize their achievement. Okay, so, we set 100, you did 100 or you did 120. This is very good. Okay, I give you your next launch, I take care of it, or something like that. So you recognize people that achieve success, offer constructive feedback for improvement, and so on and so forth. So that is another step that is important in performance management. Okay, so it's not for punishing or passing blame, or it's because of this person, it's because of that person, it's this, it's that, or taking the excuse or giving the excuses. No, that's not the purpose. It's not to ridicule anyone. We are interested in the business performance. Okay, it's not about individual whatever. People when they start giving excuses. Okay, so another thing I tell leaders and managers is don't give excuse, don't take it. You can't make excuses and make progress at the same time. You have to choose one. Okay, it's either you are making excuses or you are making progress. So you can't make the two at the same time. So that's extremely, extremely important. So when we are giving feedback or we are looking at improvement, let's focus on improvement, and people should take responsibility. Oh, I didn't do this well. I think I have to adjust this. Or maybe I didn't have this tool. Okay, I have the tool. So provide that must be that continuous feedback, coaching and training, so that performance can continue to improve. And then lastly, you have to continuously improve the system. This whole system that I've mentioned, you have to look at, okay, what is working, what is not working, and continuously improve it. Look at the tools that you are using. Are they helping you more or less? So you have to look at the system and continue to improve it so that you have a very effective performance management system. It's one system that you must create for your business. And like I said, not just for your business alone, you can create it for your own personal use as well, or for your parenting activities or whatever that you think is important and you want to improve. Okay, so so having said all of this, let me now round off You know, so what am I saying so that I can give room for one or two questions? So what am I saying? One, remember that what you don't measure, you cannot improve. And there's a way to go about it. So I've given you those 5 steps. First, you must have your business objective properly stated. I mean, that's where you are going. That's the destination. Okay, at least for the year. All those things must be properly stated. And then if you have your work plan, they are there. So it's from there you will now set, look at for the different aspects of the business, what are the indicators that we use to measure performance in those areas. And then you must document your baseline. Okay, where are we now on those numbers? Okay, and then you must set targets. So the targets can be for the year, but you now break it down to monthly, quarterly, and then weekly. Okay, and then the next thing is there must be a review process. Okay, so there must be a way to document or collect information about all those different aspects. You must put it as in the system. Okay, and then there must be a review process to look at whether we are making progress or not with respect to our targets and goals along all those different items. And then you must continue to provide feedback, coaching, training, to improve performance. Of course, if somebody is not performing despite coaching, that means that person is not fit for that place. So you remove the person and put another person. Okay, hiring and firing is another kettle of whatever. So we don't want to talk about that, So, but you must have been seen to have provided enough support to be sure that, okay, this person is not really fit for it. The performance is still not improving in this area. So we have to get somebody else to take charge in that area. But you have evidence. So you are not just using emotion. You see, okay, over the last 1 year, look at your performance track record. So everything is documented. So it's going to be clear to everybody, and you can show anybody, not that, oh, the person is not performing. Okay, where's your evidence? Nothing. Okay, so this will even help you to make evidence-based decision with respect to, engaging. Even when you are engaging people, they already know where you are. The system is there to guide them to where they want to be. And then lastly, you continue to improve the process. I think that's just a summary. There are a lot of other things that I believe we can look at, individually at our own convenient time, but please let's continue to improve. Let's continue to see that we do things right. It's not going to work the first time. There will be a lot of back and forth. People don't usually change. But as a leader, you have to maintain the course and make sure that you keep pushing people in the right direction. Because ultimately, we want everybody to perform. And when they perform, we'll all be happy. People are happy. It's also good for the business, and things can get better. So thank you for your time. So sorry I took more than the allotted time, but I believe that it's something worth it for us. So we can take 1 or 2 questions if there's any. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Taitoa, are you there? I thought you were taking over.
We're just waiting for anybody that have a question to ask. That's why I kept quiet.
Okay. So, well, I actually wanted us to appreciate him first for such an amazing teaching. It's so beautiful, so explicit. Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you so much, darling. God bless you, sir. I think I have a question. And I also want to implore everyone to please think, because it's an opportunity. Learning is an opportunity. When you have an understanding, that's when you stand. That's when you win. Okay. So my own question is family linked now. So, for example, I have an objective. I want to have a closer bond with my son. Okay, I want to have a closer bond with my son. So, in a more explicit way, what will I put as a performance indicator? Okay, so let's say I notice that this boy is becoming a teenager, he's beginning to move away. Maybe he wants to have more time with the boys or more time with gadgets. But I want it to be the opposite. So what are the key indicators I should I should set, don't look out for, that I should set as a mother? Then also I want to make it 2 in 1. So the other one is I want to increase my sales in business from 1 million to 2 million. Okay, 1 million, let's just say 1 million to 2 million. And I have just a marketer on my board. So can you also be more detailed on, okay, so what are the key? I see you do that a lot with your marketers. I observe you with your meetings with those your marketers a lot of times in the night, having reviews. Okay, what are the numbers? I just want you to please say more explicitly, touch on those 2 things. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the question. Yeah, just like I said at the beginning, the focus of the presentation is more around business rather than parenting. But just like I also said, we can apply it to any aspect of life. I will not claim to be a parenting expert, but I mean, from the little that I know or that I have read about, when it comes to parenting and getting our kids uh, to work in certain parts or to live or behave in certain ways, because that is a long time and continuous process and engagement and so on and so forth. So I believe things like, okay, how much time did I even spend with this child? Maybe on a weekly basis. Okay. Does this person even have an idea of my expectations of him or her in clear terms? So I have my boy, okay, let's set our expectation. These are the things I expect from you. Maybe concerning the time that you spend on your academics, concerning the times. So we measure all of that. They are clearly stated. Everybody is aware of the expectations. Okay, do you also have any expectation of me as maybe your father or your mother? So we also have that discussion. And then, so based on those objectives, okay, mutually agreed objectives, we can now look at, okay, what are the things that can help us with this objective? So I think the first thing is, okay, how much time do we even spend together in terms of engaging and training? What are the areas that have had discussions? Maybe I won't call it training or coaching now, but engagement. How many engagements do we have? How many responsibilities have I given this person? How is he performing on each of those responsibilities? Do I have a way of documenting those things? If I ask you to do this, okay, how many times do you do it